The sky was red when the first explosion hit the outer edge of the mining camp. Dust filled the air. Alarms screamed. People ran. Jason dropped his wrench and looked up from the broken rover engine. It was supposed to be a quiet week on the edge of Sector 12. Just fix the machines, get his credits, and go back home. But war had come without warning. A second blast shook the ground. Jason stumbled and caught himself on the metal frame. From the cliffs above, strange alien ships screamed through the sky, sleek black with glowing red engines. Not the usual raiders. These were faster, deadlier. Someone shouted orders. Security teams rushed out, but they were too slow. Figures leapt down from the ship's tall armored aliens with claws and glowing eyes. Jason had seen vids of them before. The Karathai Jason turned to run, but something slammed into the dirt near him. A small pod. It hissed open and a shape rolled out. It wasn't one of the armored invaders. It was someone else. A girl. An alien girl. She was on her knees, panting hard. Her skin was smooth and a soft shade of lavender. Long silver hair clung to her face. She wore a torn uniform, and around her neck was a strange metal collar that sparked. Her eyes locked onto Jason's bright green and full of fear. She looked hurt, confused, and terrified. Without thinking, Jason pulled her behind a storage crate just before a group of Karathi ran past. She didn't speak but followed his lead. Her breathing was fast, shaky. The collar around her neck kept blinking, like it was broken or trying to reconnect. Minutes passed. The ground rumbled with more ships landing. Jason peeked over the crate. The mining camp was being taken. People were being dragged away. The security team was down. There was nothing left here but danger. Jason looked at the girl. She was shaking. Her hand went to the collar and she winced as it sparked again. He recognized the tech alien, but fixable. Maybe it was a tracker or a control device. Whatever it was, it looked painful. He spoke slowly, pointing at the collar and then to himself. I can fix that. Okay, she blinked, then nodded once Jason pulled out his toolkit. His fingers moved quickly, rewiring and isolating the damaged parts. The energy inside was unstable. He had to be careful. A wrong move might fry it, or her. But after 10 tense minutes, the spark stopped. The collar made a soft chime. Then it pulsed with a soft blue glow. The alien girl gasped. Her eyes widened. And then, something strange happened. She looked at him differently, like he had become something else. She leaned closer and bowed her head low in front of him. Then she spoke her first words, voice soft and alien, but the meaning was clear through her translator chip. Master, I belong to you now. Jason froze. Wait, what? She touched the collar gently. This mark was broken. Now it binds. You fixed it. You own me. I follow you until death. He stared at her, stunned. That's not how it works. I was just helping. But she was already standing, ready to follow. And when a Karathi scout appeared near the broken wall, she leapt forward like a wild beast. She didn't just fight, she destroyed. Fast, brutal. The scout didn't even have time to scream. Jason backed away slowly. She returned to him right away, dropping to one knee. Yours, she said simply. The war around them didn't matter anymore. Jason had accidentally become the master of a powerful alien warrior, and she had no plans of ever leaving his side. Jason's hands were shaking. The alien girl stood beside him like a shadow, silent and alert. Her green eyes scanned every corner, every sound. She didn't speak much, only moved when he moved. The collar on her neck kept glowing softly blue and steady now, not broken. Any more he wanted to ask her name, but there wasn't time. The mining camp was in flames. The sky was full of smoke. The screens were fading as the Karathi finished rounding up the survivors. Jason crouched low and looked at the hills beyond the fuel tanks. If they could reach the rocky pass, they might get away unseen, he whispered. We go quiet. No noise, understand? She nodded once, then grabbed a metal spear from a fallen invader. She moved like a predator barefoot, silent. Jason tried to copy her, but his boots crunched on the gravel. They crossed the first yard without trouble. The second one was harder. A patrol came close. Jason held his breath. The girl raised her hand, motioning for him to stay down. Then, she vanished into the shadows. A scream echoed a few seconds later. Then silence. She returned, not even out of breath. She said one word, clear, and helped him stand. Jason didn't want to know what she'd done. He just kept moving at the edge of the camp. A fire blocked the main exit. Fuel tanks had burst, sending flames everywhere. Jason stopped, coughing. "We can't go through that." She looked at the fire, then at him. Her voice was calm. "Stay behind me." Before he could argue, she lifted a metal sheet and held it in front like a shield. Then she ran. Jason followed, heart pounding. The heat was unbearable. Flames licked around them. He covered his face, trusting her. They made it through. Jason stumbled and fell, rolling onto the dirt outside the burning zone. She knelt beside him, brushing ash from his clothes. Her hands were gentle. He looked at her, confused and out of breath. "Why are you helping me like this?" he asked, her head tilted. "Because you fixed the collar. Because it chose you. I was bred for battle, made to serve. I belong to the one who repairs me." He sat up. "That's not how things work where I'm from." "But it is how it works where I'm from," she replied. Jason sighed. He didn't want a servant. He didn't want to own anyone. But he also didn't want to die alone in a war zone. And she had just saved his life twice. Maybe staying close to her was the only smart move left. They started walking again, heading toward the rocky hills. The night was falling. Shadows grew longer. And for the first time in hours, there were no explosions. Jason finally asked, "What's your name?" She blinked, then answered, "Karali." He tried saying it. "Kahali?" She smiled. "Close." "Enough," he smiled back. "I'm Jason." Karali gave a small bow. "Jason, my chosen," he groaned. "Can we just stick with friend for now?" Karali paused, then nodded slowly. "Friend, but I protect you, always." They reached the first ridge and looked back. The mining camp was gone. Smoke rose into the sky. Jason felt the weight of it all. He had lost everything. His camp, his crew, his job, but he had gained something strange. A powerful alien warrior girl who now refused to leave his side. Arali stood beside him, her spear ready, her silver hair blowing in the wind. The war had changed everything, and this was only the beginning. Jason was tired. His legs ached. His hands were scratched from the sharp desert rocks. They had been walking for hours. The sun had set, but the heat still clung to the air. Every noise made him jump. Every shadow looked like a soldier. Karali walked beside him like nothing hurt her. She didn't speak much. She didn't complain. Her eyes scanned the darkness, always searching for danger. She held her spear tight and moved like a ghost. Jason whispered, "Do you think they're following us?" Karali answered, "They always follow. I escaped from them once. They will not let me go again." He stopped. "Wait, you were their prisoner?" She nodded slowly. "A tool, a weapon. They used my kind, trained us to fight, to obey. But my collar broke. When I ran, they hunted me. When you fixed it, they lost their claim. You became my owner. They will see that as theft." Jason felt a cold knot in his chest. "So fixing your collar made me their enemy too?" "Yes." Suddenly a loud whir filled the sky. Jason ducked behind a rock. A black drone flew overhead, scanning with red lights. Karali grabbed his arm and pulled him deeper into the rocks. They crouched low as the drone hovered above. It clicked and scanned, then flew on. Karali whispered, "They found our trail." They will send hunters next, Jason asked. Can we hide somewhere? A cave? A bunker? Kairali's eyes narrowed. There is a ruin. Old tech. Dead city. 2 hours north. If we reach it before dawn, they might lose our trail. Jason stood up slowly. Then we better run. They moved fast. The rocky hills cut their feet. Sharp. Thorns ripped at their clothes. But they didn't stop. Jason struggled to keep up, but Kairali kept pulling him forward, never letting go. Her grip was strong but careful, like she knew how fragile he was behind them. The night lit up with flashes. Red beams, shouts, more drones. Jason gasped. They're close. Kairali turned. We fight if we must. No, he said quickly. We hide, we survive. She nodded once. Then move. They reached a narrow path between tall cliffs. Jason slipped twice but didn't fall. Kairali moved like she'd walked this path 100 times. At the end of the canyon, broken metal shapes rose from the ground. A ruined gate. A sign in alien script. A forgotten city buried by time. The buildings were rusted and half fallen. Plants had grown through walls and floors. But the stone paths still stood. Kairali led him through the ruins, past broken towers and collapsed tunnels. Until they reached a low chamber covered in dust. She pushed open the door. Inside, it was cold and dark. Safe. Jason collapsed on the floor. We made it. Kairali knelt beside him. She touched his shoulder. You are shaking. He looked at her. I'm scared. Her voice was soft. Good. That means you know the danger, but I am here. I will not let them take you. Jason breathed deeply, trying to calm down. You could run. You don't have to stay with me. Kairali looked straight into his eyes. I told you before. You fixed the bond. I am yours now. Not by force, by choice. Jason didn't know what to say. Her words were strange, but they felt honest. She stood and walked to the entrance. Rest. I will guard. Jason leaned back against the wall, watching her silhouette. An alien warrior, with glowing eyes, standing like a silent protector. He didn't understand her world. He didn't want this war, but deep inside, he knew one thing. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was part of something much bigger. Asterisk. Jason woke up to the sound of rain tapping against metal. It was still dark outside, but soft blue light glowed from Kairali's collar as she stood at the doorway, completely still. Her silver hair was wet. Her spear rested against her shoulder. She hadn't moved the whole night. He sat up slowly. His muscles hurt, and his throat was dry. You didn't sleep. Kairali turned her head. I do not sleep when danger is close. Jason stood up and walked beside her. The ruined city looked different in the early light, more peaceful. But he knew peace here was an illusion. Do you think they're still hunting us? They are, Kairali said. But they are cautious. This place is sacred to some of their kind. A burial ground of machines. They fear it. Jason looked around. Then maybe it's the safest place we've got. Kairali said nothing. She only watched the rain. They searched the ruins for supplies. Most of the tech was dead, but Jason found a cracked data core with a solar cell. He managed to get it working just enough to light a panel. Old maps flickered on screen. One showed underground tunnels leading away from the city. Maybe they could use them to escape unnoticed. As he worked, Kairali crouched nearby and watched. His hands, her eyes followed every movement. Finally she asked, "Why do you do this?" He shrugged. "Fixing things is what I do. I don't like giving up." She leaned closer. "It is strange to me. Most humans scream, you rebuild." Jason chuckled. "Well, I scream inside, but yeah, I fix stuff." She tilted her head. "That is strength." He looked at her. "What about you? You fight like 10 people. But you never act like you enjoy it." She turned her eyes away. "Because I don't." He waited, and finally she said, "We were made to be weapons." My kind was raised in darkness. We were told to obey or die, but the collar, it kept me from thinking freely. When it broke, I felt something strange. Fear. And freedom, Jason asked. And now? Kiraly touched the collar gently. Now I feel something else. I feel safe. I feel purpose. When I follow you, I do it not because I must, but because I want to. Jason felt his chest tighten. He looked away. I'm not used to someone depending on me. She looked at him seriously. I am not weak. I do not depend. I choose. That word choose stuck in his mind. They continued searching and found an old locker with sealed rations. Jason opened one and handed her a pack. She sniffed it, then slowly took a bite. Her eyes widened. This is sweet, Jason smiled. That's chocolate. You've never had it? She shook her head. It's beautiful. They shared the meal quietly. Rain continued to fall outside. For a moment, it felt like a real break from the war, but then came the noise, a sharp metal click from above, then another. Kiraly was on her feet instantly, spear ready. Jason looked up. Through a crack in the ceiling, thin red lights scanned down into the room. They found us, Kiraly said. Jason grabbed the map core. The tunnels, can we get to them? She nodded once. Follow me. They ran fast through the ruins. The red lights followed. Behind them came distant voices and mechanical howls. Kiraly guided him through twisted halls, past broken statues and fallen machines. At the edge of the city, she found the old tunnel entrance and forced it open inside. It was cold and pitch black. Jason turned on the small light from the solar cell. The walls were narrow. The air smelled of rust and tum. Kiraly walked ahead. Spear raised, Jason followed close. He could hear her breathing, steady and strong. Even in this dark place, she wasn't afraid. After half an hour of walking, they stopped in a small chamber. The air was dry here. Safe. Jason sat down, exhausted. I never thought I'd end up running through alien ruins with someone like you. Kiraly sat beside him. I never thought anyone would fix me, and not try to control me. He looked at her. I didn't fix you to own you. She smiled softly. I know, that is why I follow. The silence stretched between them. Not uncomfortable, just quiet. Honest, something was changing. Not just around them, but between them, and even in the dark, that bond was starting to feel stronger than war. Jason didn't know how long they had been walking through the tunnels. Hours maybe. Time felt strange down here. The lights on the old walls flickered as his portable battery faded. Kiraly never once asked to stop. She moved like she had done this 1,000 times before. Jason finally said, we need rest. Kiraly turned. Yes, there's a safe chamber not far. She led him through a narrow path that ended in a round room with carved metal symbols and a broken alien terminal. Jason collapsed onto the floor and leaned back against the wall. His chest rose and fell. This place looks ancient. Kiraly nodded. It was once used by rebels, before the Karathi purged them. Jason looked at her. Were you one of those rebels? She shook her head. No, I was trained after. I didn't know rebellion was even possible until my collar broke. Jason reached out and gently tapped the edge of her collar. And now? She looked into his eyes. Now I would rebel for you. Jason paused. You don't have to follow me like I'm your master. I didn't ask for that. Kiraly touched the glowing band and whispered, then command me to be free. Jason hesitated. Is that what you want? Her voice was soft. I don't know. I only know that since the day you fixed me, my heart feels something new. I was built for orders. But you gave me choice. I don't understand it yet. But I don't want to leave your side. Jason sat quietly. The tunnel hummed around them. Above them, somewhere in the surface world, war still burned. Soldiers searched, ships patrolled. And here they were, just Two people from different worlds trying to understand what they had become. Suddenly, the silence-broken explosion echoed from the tunnel entrance. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lights blinked red. Jason jumped to his feet. Karali grabbed her spear. They found us. The tunnel behind them lit up with movement. Shadows approached fast. Jason turned to run, but Karali didn't move. He shouted, "Come on!" But she stayed. Her eyes glowed brighter. Her body straightened. "I'll hold them off." Jason grabbed her arm. "No, we get out together." She looked at him with a strange calm. "If they catch you, they will erase your mind, break your body, use you to rebuild control over me. You must live." Jason's voice cracked. "I'm not leaving you." Karali leaned close, her forehead resting against his for one long breath. "Then give me one final command. Let me protect what I love." Jason closed his eyes, his voice shook. "Come back to me, no matter what." Karali gave a small smile. "As you wish, my chosen." She turned and ran toward the enemy without fear. Her spear flashed in the red light. Her voice rose in a cry that shook the walls. Jason fled deeper into the tunnels, each step echoing louder than the last. The last thing he heard was her voice. Not in pain but in power, he reached the far exit, just as the tunnel collapsed behind him. The dust cloud chased him outside, and he fell into the bright morning light. He turned back. Silence, smoke. She was gone. Jason waited for hours near the collapsed rocks. He didn't move, didn't speak. His mind was empty until a shadow appeared through the dusk. Karali stumbled forward, blood on her arm, her hair singed, but her eyes still glowing. Jason ran to her and caught her before she fell. "You came back," she smiled weakly. "You commanded me to." He held her tightly. "You didn't have to." She whispered, "I wanted to." And for the first time, Jason realized this was no longer about the collar, it was about something far deeper. Jason helped Karali sit near a tree as the morning sun rose behind the mountains. Her body was cut and bruised, but she was alive. He wrapped her wounds with what little cloth he had left. She didn't flinch. She just watched him with soft, glowing eyes. "You shouldn't have come back," he whispered. Gary smiled faintly. "You shouldn't have fixed my collar." He chuckled, his voice low. "Yeah, guess we both made a mistake." She shook her head slowly. "No, we made a bond." They sat in silence for a while. Jason listened to the wind in the trees. For the first time in days, there were no alarms, no drones, no footsteps. Just quiet. Karali leaned against his shoulder. "They won't stop hunting us. I was property to them. You took that away. They will send more." Jason stared at the horizon. "Then we stop running. We find people like us. Others who don't want this war. Others who are tired of being owned." Karali looked at him. "You want to start a rebellion?" "No," Jason said. "I want to start a life." She sat up. "And if that life is full of danger?" He smiled. "Then I want someone like you beside me." Her fingers gently touched the collar. "Then remove this." Jason looked at her. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "I want to stay with you. But I want it to be my choice." With shaking hands, Jason pulled out a tool from his belt and slowly unlocked the clasp. The blue light dimmed. The collar clicked loose and dropped into the grass. Karali touched her bare neck. Then she looked up at him with a strange, quiet joy. Jason asked, "How do you feel?" She took his hand. "Free, but I still want to follow you." He pulled her close. Then we walked together. They left the ruins behind and moved through the wild land, side by side. No chains, no orders. No collars, just a human and an alien girl who had once been a weapon, now walking towards something new. Something chosen. Word of them spread in whispers. Across sectors, a human who broke a Karathi bond. A warrior who chose love over war. And slowly, others began to believe not in ownership, but in freedom.